So let's talk about December 4th. What were we doing? It was a day at Würzburg, and it was pretty much a full day thing. Yesterday, breakfast again was served at around 6, and we arrived at 9, and 9:30 was the excursion. So if you think about it, actually by the time you get up and everything, you have to wake up slightly earlier. And then there was a walking tour until 1:30, and yesterday was really bitter cold. Actually, one of our friends that we met on the ship, it was so cold it really got to her. So that tells you a lot about the actual weather. It's because it's damped. It's not like in Canada or in the US where it's kind of like the dry cold. It's damp and it kind of feels like it goes in your clothing kind of thing. So it was really cold. So visiting the palace yesterday, there were a little bit more shopping there, and we saw a lot of crew member actually buying some stuff. So this is the stop to go for if you want to buy some everyday items, because it's slightly cheaper. But otherwise it's pretty much the same. Christmas market is not as big as the other ones, but regardless, the Christmas market, the street, the church, it's there, and it's also have its own little feel to it. Although we can tell it's a smaller little town there. And then we went back for lunch at 1. We actually went back at 12 something because it finished. The walking tour actually finished really early. So we went back for lunch, took a nap for an hour, head back out because the boat doesn't leave until 6:15. So we were just back on board by like 5:30, and it was a nice little day because you have so much free time to actually go on land, and that's exactly what we did, going back on land. And at 9, there was also an information session, Q&A for people who have questions about the boat, about the machinery, and then how it works, and all of that. And one of the chief engineers yesterday most certainly enlightened us on a lot of things. Right now, as you can see, the boat is missing the very top level, apparently because of some of the bridges. Apparently the shortest, like the tightest, is in Germany. So the fact that we're starting from Germany, I think it should be easier. And when we hit the locks and stuff, apparently it's not straight. So sometimes we do hit it, and we do see them painting it over and over again. I see this red part around the edge. I thought it was like some kind of plastic or tire-like material, but no, it's actually metal. So they have to paint it. And the fact that they have to take out the whole top level is because even now that everything's folded down, they only sometimes have 5 centimeters or something like that, like tiny spacing. It's just perfect to go through those under the bridges or the locks, etc. And another thing too, the weight, it really fluctuates, which is kind of interesting to me in the fact that if you actually put more like water in, if you add the weight, sometimes if you are missing a little bit of height, you can actually lower the boat if the water is deep enough, so that you can actually pass through some of the bridges and everything. So that was definitely interesting. The chief of engineer was 25. That was also shocking because a lot of the crew member, the passengers, everybody is like a bit older. So the fact to see actually there's a 25-year engineer being the chief, and it was interesting yesterday. So right now, without further ado, why don't we quickly jump into the actual Christmas market as Wurzburg and see what it's all about. Instead of just me talking, why don't we take a look at the scenery and see how you enjoy it. This morning, it was a kind of long morning. We went to the palace to have a visit. The palace was amazing, and then after an hour of palace, we had a walking tour. But this morning, it was just so cold. That's why, as you can see right now, I have so many layers on. I have like 4 layers on. And this is another Christmas market. It's a bit smaller than the other ones, and so far, the 2 stores that I went in, it's more expensive than the first Christmas market. So we'll see. We'll see. And what else happened this morning? They talked about something in the palace that was interesting. Back then, people really stink because they got so many water poisoning that they're even afraid of using water to wash themselves. So they put on powder. The men like 8, 9 layers, the woman put on 12 layers, and then uses tons of perfume to wash it up. And during the time where the king had a meeting with the bishop, he would just actually take a dump or a piss or whatever right in front of all the people because he's a superior one. So that was very interesting. And while we were talking about these facts, somebody farted in the palace. So that was kind of a neat little thing that happened. And we learned a lot. Oh, and the lights turned on over there. Today, so far, has been great, and we'll see how it goes. We went back from lunch, and now we have tons of free time until 6, and then the ship is leaving. Yesterday, also a little something that happened was that when the day was finished, we're supposed to take a short bus ride back to the boat for like a half an hour, but because the boat was delayed, Viking was very generous of them to actually take us into the nearest by town to treat us everybody for coffee, a drink, whatever you want. So yesterday, I have to say, overall the Viking experience, the trip was really fantastic, and it's really well executed. And even with minor hiccup, they try their best to make sure that you're not bored. So this is the market. Let's take a look around. Believe it or not, this is already the nighttime of our Christmas market. To be quite honest with you, most of the Christmas market that we've been to in Europe, it is pretty much about the same. The fact that I went on a 14-day tour visiting at least 14 different Christmas market, it is a little bit over the top. If I were to do it again, I might still take this one tour because this is my first river cruise. However, I might not go for 14 days, maybe a 7 days. I think it's more than enough, just in case you're wondering. And right now, let's take a look at the food. Clearly, we're not at the restaurant that I just showed you of a Chinese restaurant. It was just another cruise that was parked next to us. And again, the food tonight, the main course and the appetizer, pretty much it has been consistent throughout. Only the dessert really needs improvement big time. However, it's another good meal as I mentioned, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Out of all the days in Germany, Nuremberg is actually a pretty interesting day, so if you have time, join me then.